for this activity, it says to use the mini markers below and place them in the appropriate place on the chart over here. So here it says quadrilaterals, which are polygons with 4 sides. And then we have the trapezoids, parallelograms, kites, rectangles, rhombuses, and squares. These are all quadrilaterals. So you have to decide where they're going to go over here. So you have a couple of options. You can try this on your own and then watch the video to check your work. You can watch the video, some of the video first, and then once you get the hang of it, try it on your own and then come back to the video once you either get stuck or once you finish, just to check your work. So let's start by looking at this first shape. And we talked about this one earlier on this week, and we said that this is a kite because it has 2 pairs of congruent sides that are adjacent, meaning they are right next to each other. So these are congruent sides and these are congruent sides. So this is a kite. Now when I look at this one can be a little bit tricky. I'm actually going to make it bigger so we can see it. Because I know that I think this is a parallel. Well, I know it's a parallelogram because these sides are parallel and these sides are parallel. They're running on the same, like the lines that are parallel here, and these 2 lines are going up and down like on these lines that are parallel. So this is a parallelogram, but then I asked myself, is it possible? Could it be a rectangle, a rhombus, or a square? Well, I don't think it could be a rectangle or a square because rectangles and squares have angles that are 90 degrees. They're right angles, and these are not right angles. I can tell right here this is an acute angle and this is an obtuse angle. So I'm not going to say it's a rectangle and I'm not going to say it's a square. Then I think about the rhombuses. And to be a rhombus, these sides all have to be the same length. And looking at it, they look close, but I don't think they're the same length. So I'm going to go with that this is just a parallelogram. It's not a rhombus. But I would definitely want to use a ruler and check that out if I was able to. Okay, next up is this shape. And I don't see any, it kind of looks like a kite, but then when I look over here, these 2 lines do not look congruent. So it looks like it's almost a kite, but not quite. Trapezoid would have to have 1 pair of parallel lines. So I think this one, yep, is parallel to this one. So you can see this line and this line are parallel. So this would make this one a trapezoid. So I'm going to make this smaller and move it over here. And let's take a look at this one. This one looks a lot like the first one. It looks like a kite, and I can tell by the colors of the lines, these are congruent and these are congruent. So in order to be a kite, it has to have 2 pairs that are adjacent that are congruent, and this one does. So I'm going to keep this one over here. Okay, when I look at this one, it's definitely a parallelogram, and it's a rectangle, and I can see that all the sides are the same length because they're all red. So this one's going to be a square. All right, this one. This looks very similar to the kites. I can see 2 pairs of congruent sides. So this one is also a kite. And then let's look at 8. So for this one, I see opposite sides are congruent. That means that they're the same length. These sides, opposite sides are congruent, and opposite sides are parallel. So this automatically makes it a parallelogram. However, could it be a rectangle, a rhombus, or a square? Well, it can't be a rectangle or a rhombus because the angles are not 90 degrees. And a rhombus, all the sides would have to be the same length, and they are clearly not. So this would just be a parallelogram. So I'm going to just put this, running out of room here. So that one's a parallelogram. And let's take a look at number 6. So I don't see any congruent sides. So it can't be a parallelogram or a kite. But could it be a trapezoid? Let's check. So does it have one pair of parallel sides? This side and this side are parallel. So it has one pair. These sides are not. Does it have? It doesn't have to have any congruent sides. It doesn't have to have any congruent angles. And it actually can never have 4 congruent angles. So this one is a trapezoid. All right, number 9. This is the common trapezoid that we see. So it's not a parallelogram because these 2 sides are not parallel. These 2 are. So it has one set of parallel sides. It's not a kite because these sides are, it doesn't have 2 pairs of adjacent congruent sides. But it does have one set of parallel sides like the trapezoid. It has one set of congruent sides, and trapezoids can. It has congruent angles here. So 1, 2 pairs, and that's okay. And none of the angle, or not, it does not have 4 angles that are congruent. So this is a trapezoid, and this is the common trapezoid that we see. All right, this one should be familiar to you by now. It looks like these other ones. It's a kite. 2 pairs of sides that are congruent. So that one's a kite. And then finally with this one probably is a common one to you as well. It is definitely a parallelogram because this side is parallel to this side is parallel to this. It can't be a rhombus because the sides are not the same length, but it is a rectangle because it has all angles are 90 degrees and opposite sides are the same length. They are congruent. Okay, so that is what it should look like. And I want to make sure to put this one, I'll make this one smaller. So these 2 are our parallelograms. All right, that's it.